Those guys, let's have a huge cheer for Metal Gear Solid. I like to hear. Okay, let's welcome them to the stage. Okay, first of all, let's welcome in David, because he's at the door first. Come on in, David, come on in. Come on, yes, yes! Louder, everybody, louder, 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 let's go.
Excuse me.
It was the chair, you guys. We're off to a great start.
I kept you waiting, huh?
Second of all, can we please welcome to the stage the wonderful Jennifer Hale? Let's go. Hello, Jennifer. Sit down.
I know. Got little microphones.
Like an open air podcast.
Thing on.
Love it. And finally, can we please have a huge round of applause for Quinton Flynn? Let's go!
He was the lightning in the rain.
Hello, guys. Uh-oh.
Pew, pew.
My chair's farting. My microphone's out of control.
David, you're a mess.
I'm a mess.
You're a mess, and we've not even
a right mess.
We've not even started. We were already standing outside for about 5-10 minutes talking about accents.
That's right.
Yes.
And then Quinton joined, and then you joined as well. We were talking about accents first, so go on. Let's get it all out the way. Let's hear your Scottish accent. Let's just start with it first.
Well, I love being here with wee Claire.
Thank you. That's so good.
I love my accent. I picked it up from David Tennant.
Love it.
And Ewan McGregor.
Mine comes from groundskeeper Willie.
That's pretty good.
Do you know what I quite like about? Can we have more sound with Quinton's mic, please? What I quite like about David Tennant's. Yeah. Okay, we're going. What I like about David Tennant's accent is even when he's doing an English accent, when he shouts and gets angry, that's when you hear him getting very Scottish.
Right.
Did you watch Good Omens?
Yes, I did.
So good.
God, I love that show.
So good.
fun.
So fun.
Jennifer, how are you with accents then? We're getting it out of the way now
I'm
before the
alright.
proper.
I just did you my groundskeeper Willie. That's all I'm
Love it. Well, I am terrible.
Because we have the real thing sitting here. I'm not going up against that.
But, I just moved to LA, and the amount of people that go, oh, and I'm like, no, please stop.
Stop immediately.
Halt.
See, I don't want to do that to you again.
No,
And they
trust you.
probably think you, of course, they think you know Craig Ferguson.
Oh, Craig, I've met
Do you know
Craig
Craig?
Ferguson.
She
Yeah,
does,
I've met
Craig's
him
an old
We all
friend of
know
mine.
each other.
He's lovely. What?
Yeah, known him about 27 years now.
Have you now?
have.
He is a lovely man. And I've also met, let's say, Americans abroad, Jared Butler.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
As well. And
Hi.
he's got quite an Americanized accent, but when we met, he went, where are you from? Like in
Right.
a real broad Scottish accent. I was like, you're still Scottish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it Katie Townsend?
Katie Townsend?
Yeah, actress.
Not met Katie Townsend.
No,
But I've met Jared, I met Craig. He's a nice man.
yeah, he is, of course.
He's a lovely man.
Very
But
tall.
let's get to the panel, shall
Let's
we?
get to it.
Let's get to it. I wanted to start at the beginning, actually, in terms of your careers, before we get on to the fan questions and everything else. First of all, I wanted to start with Quinton. You did sketch comedy before, is that correct?
That's correct.
I wanted to ask how much of
No.
this is going to be the easiest panel I have ever done.
Exactly.
Well, I'll just
He
leave.
just broke the rules of improv.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
did?
It's yes and
Yes,
Quinton.
and yes. Yes, and it was fabulous.
Yes, and how much of that informed your career as you went on? I just wanted to know if any of your formative training there ended up informing the voice work. that you
Oh,
did.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one needs to be flexible in taking direction in acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'd say the improvisational aspects are, I fully support that, and I do suggest that to other actors who want to get into the business. God bless you. Unless you don't believe, then bless you. Acting is great because this is acting. And also what I have found, I'll add to it, is that many of us, actors, also happen to be singers,
Yes.
which I find interesting, because there's a rhythm to what we do.
Absolutely.
So not only are we acting, but you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I know that you were a singer before, Jennifer. You sang.
She's an amazing singer.
And I actually watched an interview with you, Jennifer, and you were talking about how you were quite business-brained.
Yes.
And not that that went, but you were when you started off. Do you think that's something that many performers or entertainers should take note of when they're starting at the beginning?
Absolutely. I'll just throw this out to everybody. I want to live in a world, there's this myth out there that you're either creative or you're good with money. And I want to take that thing and shatter it, because I want to live in a world where more creative, artistic people are financially empowered, because then you actually participate in the power structures and you're not drowning. I'm absolutely about the business the whole way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I need to learn from you. I'm currently drowning, even though, Colonel, we've managed to avoid drowning.
I would happily hire you as a consultant.
I started a site for all this stuff. So
Did you really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is it?
Acting.skillshub.life. I'm actually in the process. We have these step-by-step like Lego assembly instruction manuals for different aspects of the voice acting careers. And I'm in the process of rewriting them right now. And one of the ones that we're writing that's a new path, we call them paths, is the business path. And there's business, like we have the foundations path for if you're just getting started. We've got animation path, games path, commercial path, like, audiobooks, all kinds of different ways to make money. But woven into every one of them are business steps, because you have to have that stuff in order.
Oh, absolutely. I used to teach at a music college, and I taught in the business department.
Yes.
So important for young kids, musicians, actors, whatever, so they don't get taken advantage of.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if we look at the modern educational system, was assembled sometime around the Victorian era, and it was assembled basically to create a giant human supercomputer so England could run the planet from a little spot in the Atlantic. And without computers, you just standardize reading, writing, and math, and you tell people how to execute your orders. You create factory workers, you create cogs in the machine. You don't create new machines, because that won't go well for you. So we're deliberately withheld from the information that empowers us around money. So your active revolution is to go out there and get that information, one little tiny bite at a time. It is not that complex. Just take it in little pieces.
Yes. Good
That's
advice.
good. That's good news.
Yes.
Because I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Well, and it's also, if you're an artist, like, you go from being super poor to suddenly you get some big job, you get a big influx of money, and you're like, oh, now I'm rich, and then you don't get any more money for the next 5 years, and you're like, oh, now I'm poor again. And it's important to understand the long-term financial plan.
Absolutely.
Be a squirrel.
Absolutely.
Be a squirrel.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's the freelance life. Oh my God. Don't I know?
It messes with the psyche.
Yeah, it does. It does. I went actually onto David in terms of screenwriting. And this is maybe more of a personal question, but one that maybe people will find useful as well. I'm writing a comic at the moment, and what I'm finding that's difficult, it's trying to write for many characters.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make it cohesive at the same time. So I wanted to ask how you learned that skill and what you learned along the way with all your screenwriting.
That's for any of you who are writing and you want to do multi-character things. I mean, my first writing job was the movie X-Men, and we had 11 main characters, and people, I got a whole rant about this. People, executives are always like, oh, it's all about character, it's about the character, and it's about this, and you have to be complex. Well, most characters are one thing. Like, this guy's greedy, or this one's jealous, or this one's whatever. They're defined by some one thing. If they're complex, there may be three things. Like, it really is not, like, in a 2-hour movie or in a comic book or whatever, you don't have time to make them like Oppenheimer. I haven't seen Oppenheimer, but I'm sure he's got
I'm sure it's all right.
Oppenheimer.
5 or 6 different elements to his character or whatever. But the point is to define the basis of who that character is. And so for Wolverine, for example, Wolverine is defined by his rage, by his feral drive, and so that sort of feeds into everything. But at the same time, he genuinely cares about people. So you mix those together, you start to get an interesting character. Rogue as a character is defined by the fact that she can't touch anybody ever, and that what does that do to your psyche? Like and then So and Cyclops is defined by the fact that he's the leader and he has to be in charge of these people. So find the anchor of what the character is and build it out from there, and don't think you have to create a full person. I mean, the more real they feel, the better. But finding the hook of the real basis for the character is the key first, and then make sure that you go through. What I did on the X-Men movie was I isolated the dialogue of each of the characters and just went through all of their dialogue, Storm's dialogue, Rogue's dialogue, Cyclops, etc., and just made sure that they had a beginning and a middle and an end, because you don't have much time when you've got all those characters to do a huge amount of different things. So just make sure that you've got the basics in place, and then you bring in great actors, and that's what happened. Like people love characters because, it's like, yes, Wolverine's cool and he's feral and everything, but when you bring Hugh Jackman into it, you've got all the colors of who he really is, which is he's tough, he's strong, he's the nicest man in the world, he's Australian, all of that sort of feeds into what he is.
I love how Australian's a personality type.
Oh, it's true. Australian. That's a full-on personality type, Sheila.
And that brings me on to my next question, actually. I hope you guys found that useful, because I found that really interesting. In terms of acting, and looking at character, and sitting down with that character that you're about to maybe live with for a small moment or for a long time, is that where you start then? You think, what defines this character? Is that how you would start, whether it's on camera or voice work?
Yes.
Love it.
In a word. I mean, it's, again, in my experience, and I don't know if you guys find it any different, when we audition for a role, we have a breakdown of what the character is, maybe their demographics, age, makeup, size, height, weight, background, and then go from there. And often the director may give notes to say, I'd like to hear a little younger, or a little,
little heavier,
a little more Australian, perhaps.
Yeah.
A little more Scottish.
Too
A
right.
little more Scottish, let's say, and you go from there and you build and you find the character. At least in my experience, once I've gotten a role, and then, it's boots on ground.
Yeah.
Once we start working together in the script and, hammering it out, then there becomes a flow, kind of between coach and athlete, if I can use that as a metaphor. You know what I mean? Teamwork.
So what was the basic hook for Ryden?
Well, Ryden had such an arc, 2, 4, and...
No, but I mean when you started, when you first came into it.
Well, he was a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you what Chris Zimmerman, when she asked me gave me direction for the role, I had worked with her previously on a show called The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, along with Jennifer. And she said, okay, Quinton, it's think Johnny, but not that young. A little older, but maybe not as old as you.
But that's a rookie too. You've got that single hook.
Right.
He was talking about.
So he's kind of a rookie.
Yeah.
And I think the dialogue informs that.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's young and he's full of desire to kick ass and everything, and it plays against Snake, who's kind of tired and like, what the hell, kid?
Yes. But you know what? I will tell you, they didn't tell me that I was going to have a mentor. They didn't tell me that there was going to be.
Well, they didn't tell me that you were going to be the player character.
I know. And apparently.
So there were a lot of secrets being spread around.
Well,
apparently.
but wait, you touched on something that actually is one of the anchors for me. For me, writers make the world go round. They just make the world go round. They do. I love writers. And when I read something, it's a combination of that specific script. Like I'm looking for, if it's Joseph Campbell, if you guys are familiar with Joseph Campbell at all, Joseph Campbell is an extraordinary, like library. Basically, there's a certain number of he studied stories all over the world in every culture you can imagine, right? And there's a certain number of stories we tell over and over, and correct me where I'm wrong. And there's certain archetypes within these stories, right? And because as humans, we need them. And that's always I kind of go on that instinctive bit of, okay, what's happening here? And then my instincts key into the specific humanity in this script, and how does it tie into my humanity, and how can I serve these writers' words. I was hiking this morning up here, and I was thinking about this. I was like, acting is really service in so many respects. It's service to the script. It's service to you guys. Like, we're here to channel what comes out of your brains. As writers, you represent all writers now. What comes out of your brains into your hearts and souls, so you get to have your common human experience and be uplifted or move forward or educated or whatever, relieved,
It's the hero's journey.
Have fun. Yeah, exactly. And we get a chance to do that every single time we look at a script. And our job is to pour our humanity in there in truth, because a lot of actors, when they hear that phrase, they get caught up with emotions, like, oh, I need to emote, and I'm like, I will never forget this. I've told this story a bunch of times. Jeff Corey was this incredible actor who was blacklisted in the McCarthy era, went on to Sci-Fi before it was cool, and I got to take a class with him a couple times when I was younger, and some actor was up on stage emoting his face off, and I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. I wish I could emote like that, And in the middle of the scene, Jeff Corey storms on stage, pardon me, I'm gonna swear, because that's what Jeff did, and he said, God damn it, people. He goes, real human beings do not set out to have feelings. They set out to do things in the course of which they have feelings they do not want to have. I don't want to see your emotions all over my goddamn stage. Which is where
That's
I
language.
learned. I know. Sorry, it was Jeff. It wasn't me. I apologize. But that's where I learned about cover. Because every single one of us are covering right now. We have that mask, how we need to be seen by the world. And then we have all these feelings that are in conflict with that, and how people deal with that is so interesting to me. So it's the common humanity for me and the writer. It's the writer. Because without writers, we have nothing to do.
It's very taking I've said this earlier, very stereotypical LA thing to do. Move to LA, take some acting classes. But I found it very freeing. It's like being more of a spiritual journey as opposed to a career. I think do things for fun, do things because you're drawn to it. And you touched upon something there, that when you're in that class or on a stage or behind in a booth, you get to do things that aren't socially acceptable. You get to drop a mask. You get to cry, you get to laugh, you get to shout and swear at people, and it's a wonderful feeling. It's like, it's not therapy, but it's close.
It's close to therapy, yeah.
It's playing.
Yes.
For crying out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, as kids, that's what we did. We didn't go, what's my motivation? You had a box.
Your check.
And you turned it into a spaceship.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're playing, so you get to be, you just get to do, you get to have. Whatever's in your head, it comes out. Unless you're, monitoring yourself, as Jennifer was talking about, masking. But if we say what we're really thinking right now, I mean...
I'm currently terrified.
Well, you should be, because of the things I'm thinking about you right now.
But you have to. It really shoves your face up against the wall of self-judgment. Like, you can't have a lot of self-judgment and be very. I mean, if you can't, okay, good luck. It will torture you.
You mean in acting?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
You have to accept all bits of your humanity, but you also have to have what I refer to, because I teach on that site that I talked about, as a transition space. Because one of my hidden agendas, not so hidden, honestly, my open agendas is mentally healthy actors and a mentally healthy community. So, you need a transition space from that time you're in the box. You're in the box and you're like, the demons are out, to transition back into your actual life. You don't want to take that home. It doesn't go well.
No. I'm now going to ask maybe a slightly deep question, but for a Friday afternoon. But through your work, then, what have you learned about yourselves as people through the characters you've played, that you've read, perhaps through working with other creatives as well and actors? Has there been anything you've learned about yourselves as people?
No.
Nah.
David's not really deep. So.
I'm not that deep. I'm shallow as a pond. I was sort of the opposite. I kind of defined what I thought was special about me as a young man and what I thought the world would really enjoy, and that kind of informed the characters. And then as I would do them, I'd find out, I am occasionally more fearful than I had anticipated or whatever. So yes, there's a give and take between what you bring to it, what you learn from doing all of these different characters, and you start to find even if you do 500 different characters like Jennifer, there's always an essential Jennifer-ness in there. And so I think it helps you define what that is, what you're able to bring each time, no matter what the character is, and then you learn, and then the rest is being able to interpret scripts and character and different ways of presenting that.
But you guys.
Well, I think the humanity, which I think Jennifer was touching on, the truth of the matter is, when I'm talking to you, or you, hi, good to see you, seeing me, seeing you. We do react differently, and of course, in given direction, there are certain directors that I enjoy working with, and then there are others I don't, because they give me direction that I don't care for. So I will react internally. I'm not necessarily going to say I don't agree with you because of the yes and formula, and I am going to give you, whatever it is you're asking for. And if I don't know what you're asking for, I'm going to ask you what you're asking for. I literally will say, I don't understand that. Could you say that a different way? Just so we're clear, because we're on the same team. You know what I mean? And in that way, we have a better relationship.
Absolutely. What about you, Jennifer? What have you learned about yourself?
Oh my God.
Let's get deep.
Lighten up and have a good time. It's just fun. It's just been a fun outlet for, my psychotic self, my, grandiose self, my,
It is fun.
fighting self. Yeah, it's so much fun.
I think everyone, regardless of whether you want to do improv or comedy, I do mostly stand-up stuff, but I've tried all the classes. I think everyone should take a class at least just once, just to kind of get out your skin a little bit out your head. It's bloody fun.
And to learn you're not going to die from it.
No.
You're not going to die,
from embarrassment.
You don't. You actually can't. I've tried.
No,
but you can't.
You will live to see another day. Before I ask my next question, which will be one of my last questions, there is a mic. There's a mic just in the middle of the room, and if you have questions for these three, please start queuing up so we can take questions. Don't be shy. Yes, sir.
That means getting in line.
Stand up. I love the slow-mo stance. That was great. Thank you. Everyone, don't be shy. All good. I wanted to talk about, just to sort of round off this part, your careers. You've all got very accomplished careers, and I wanted to ask about success. When I was younger, in my 20s, which was eons ago, I thought of success as, I just need the next job. I just need the next job to feel success and happiness. What was success and happiness to you when you started being actors versus now looking back?
Oh, dude. Whew. Okay. Yeah, so much for lightening up.
Sorry, you guys.
Success for me was, I wanted career longevity and respect.
Yes.
And I'll be danged, I got that. I should have asked for more cash, but
All right.
that would have been cool. I wanted to be really, really, really good at what I do. It drives me constantly. Just get better, get better. It's rare that I watch something and don't go, oh, Jesus.
It's horrible.
I know. But last night we were at a premiere together. Was it last night? No.
Night before.
Night before last.
X-Men 97,
Yes.
where Jennifer plays Jean Grey and crushes it.
That was fun. So that was my definition then, to be able to pay my bills, support myself, and achieve some kind of financial stability. And I swear now, if I can say this without crying, success is being there and making cookies for my kid and having people around me I love.
Love that.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's so lovely.
Because I swear to God, thank you. But seriously, read up on people who are about to die or have almost died or are near the end of their life and believe them.
That's a really good one. Okay, I don't want to cry as well. So I'm not going to look at you for the next few minutes, Jennifer.
I get you.
What about you, David and Quinton?
Well, I came at it in a very childish fashion. I was like, I just want to be rich and famous.
And look. I'll look at you. Look at you there.
It worked pretty good. But I was aiming for the big break. I was like, I want my big movie. I want my big this and that. And then when I got a few big breaks. You need a number of big breaks to have success in this business. And then once I got the big break, I was like, oh my God, I have to keep this up for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And so it was a matter of learning how to not just get a big job, but how to continue to work at a certain level for the next 25 years. And that's a different skill and a different life. Like, to get the big break, you can be brash and in people's face and make sure people notice you, and some people are jerks. I don't think I was a jerk, but I was certainly aggressive. And to continue, especially in today's world, you kind of have to be able to get along with people. You have to be able to be a professional, and so all of those things I learned along the way, and that has provided me a comfortable level of success.
And you're doing very well, David.
Thank
well
you.
done.
I appreciate that.
Well, I felt like my mum there. Oh my God, John.
Felt like you were my mom.
Well done, David.
I'll take it, Mom.
No problem, son. All right,
love you,
Quinton,
Mummy.
last but not least.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say what's really neat for me, at least, is that I knew David and Jennifer before the three of us, got into voice acting formally, fully. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, kids in school or hanging out in Hollywood. I have, vivid memories, There's not enough time to go into those stories. But I will tell you how I approached it. I mean, growing up, I wanted to be Spider-Man. I imagined I was in the car, moving the car along, spinning webs, and I became Spider-Man. I wanted to be one of the Beatles, and I've been Paul McCartney in several incarnations. So it's been Sir Paul, it's been great. I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. I tested for Saturday Night Live. I've spoken with Lorne Michaels plenty of times. I didn't get to be on the show, but I've done more than most. I wanted to be Jerry Lewis. So I did a form of Jerry Lewis in a series called My Life as a Teenage Robot, where I play a character named Sheldon. And Jerry Lewis, if you ask him, well, he can't now, he's dead. But when he was alive, he would say that his character, the child that he played, Jerry would say, he's 9 years old. He's not 10, he's not 8, he's 9. Right? So when I did Sheldon, I made him kind of nebbishy and nerdy, and I got to meet Jerry Lewis. So a lot of those dreams came true because I have multiple dreams in the entertainment industry. I didn't know where they would be. I looked at Chicago, I looked at New York, but I ended up helping my cousin Franklin move to Los Angeles, where this all came about. But I can tell you within that journey, the money doesn't do it, the fame doesn't do it, the adulation doesn't do it. It's an inside job. And for me, the greatest distance one has to travel is from their head to their heart. It's all about love, and it really, truthfully is. I mean, everybody has to get by, and everybody struggles, even though the one person most people think about more than anyone else is themselves. But when we get into action, at least I find, and Jennifer mentioned this earlier, being of service, love in action, to love is a verb, a beautiful song by Todd Rundgren. Love in action. Love is the answer. When you're going to speak to someone who's working here, how are you? That's what it's about. And that's what it's about for me today. So I've gotten to work with some tremendous people and do some tremendous things. And, people say, what do you want to do next? I say, I don't know. I'll know when I get there.
I love that. I really love it. Thank you. Can we have a round of applause for this part of the panel? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Should have brought my tissues. God, you guys.
And you thought you were here to talk about Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
There we are. We're just softening your little brains up. Okay. So hello, my friend. Please, right into the mic, your name and your question.
Hey there. My name's Robert. This question's for David. I know you're an accomplished screenwriter, wrote for X-Men, X2, and Watchmen. And I imagine there were a few opportunities where you got to meet some of the actors. Did any of the actors know you were the main character in a very popular video game series, or any of them like? Oh,
no. None of them cared.
It's his
None of them cared. I started working on the first X-Men movie in '99. Metal Gear had just come out the year before. So no, nobody had any clue.
No.
And they're actors, they're all doing their own thing. They don't pay much attention. I can't remember. I mean, I'm sure somebody on a movie I've worked on it's come up, but it didn't really. It was all, it was all kids and young people in the beginning, and now, so for 20 years I would have meetings at studios. And the executives had no idea who I was, but the assistants would flip out. And they'd know, and now they're all executives. So now, like literally this past couple years, now I go into a meeting and there's like a 50-year-old executive and he's just like, and I'm like, he's like, do you mind if I, and I'm like, not a problem, go ahead. So it's really been a change, but no, back in the day when I was working on those movies, nobody knew. It was entirely, and plus nobody expects your screenwriter to be Solid Snake. That's a weird thing.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. Hello, friend. Right up into the mic. What's your name and question?
Hello, my name's Manny. My question is for Quinton in regards to a bit over 10 years ago, the video game Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance was unleashed onto the world, and here we are 10 years later, and people are still playing the game. You have Twitch streamers that are doing long plays of it. It's become a cult phenomenon, and people are still quoting the memes, as Monsoon would say. Did you have any idea when you were reading the script and voicing the lines for the game that was going to be this huge cult phenomenon, or what your take on it was?
Absolutely. I have a crystal ball, and I foresee the future. No, I didn't have a clue. I mean, just like when David asked me, did I know what the hook was for Raiden when I first started playing Raiden? I didn't. So I was as naive as Raiden was as a rookie. There's no way we could have conceived of what would happen, And so you're right. And Revengeance is amazing. It's a culmination of every aspect of Raiden there is, every range and emotion. I got to work with so many wonderful actors and actresses, and every time they came in, it was a different experience because we got to play differently. The memes are amazing. You know what I mean? Really, what's out there, what you guys have created and reflected back to me, it blows my mind. It's taken on a life of its own.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manny.
Hello, my dear. Right into the mic. What's your name and what's your question?
Hello, my name is Rudy, and this is a question for everybody. So first off, I am about to graduate film school at ASU, so hearing all your talks about the creative industry, about your processes, it's been truly amazing. For an unrelated question, are you aware that many fans have claimed the song Invisible by Duran Duran as the official Metal Gear song?
No.
I did not know that.
It's the first time hearing about it.
There have been a couple dozen or hundreds really posts on Instagram and TikTok making edits of Metal Gear and just putting Invisible by Duran Duran over it.
Which album?
Good question. I only know the single. I'm sorry.
No, because I love Duran Duran, and they actually just put out a new album.
Which one is it?
Future Past.
Future Past. You gotta check it out.
I will check that out. It's literally the first I've heard of it. I'm sorry.
Fun question.
All right. Well, I'm glad to bring the news. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck with everything. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and congratulations on
Yes.
graduating film school.
Yeah. Let's give him a round of applause.
Go out and change the world.
You did it. You're free. Hello, right up to the mic. What's your name and question?
My name's Noah. I was curious, just you guys have voiced many iterations of your characters over the course of the Metal Gear series. Snake in Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid, so on and so forth, and also the different variations of Raiden and Naomi. I was wondering if you've had any unique challenges with, because I know older Snake is a lot deeper, more gruff, whereas Naked Snake is a lot more your normal cadence of voice, and the differences between the different versions of Raiden and, of course, Naomi. What are some unique challenges you've faced in the different variations?
Well, yeah. Well, again, it was all about finding the basic hook, and the basic hook on the first one, Metal Gear Solid, was, "I'm retired. I'm a legend. I don't want to be bothered anymore." and it all kind of, and that really played into, I didn't know, but that played into the story, that it's just like he's sort of been done wrong his whole life, and he's a little beat down by it, but he's still badass, and he still won't, he'll never stop. Naked Snake, I was like, okay, so this guy is at the beginning of his career, and he's fired up, and he's ready to go out. It's like me when I started my career, like nothing's going to stop me, and everything's going to be smooth sailing from here on out. And then he gets his eye shot out, and the boss breaks his arm, chucks him off a bridge and everything, and that really played out nicely too, because it contrasted with what I was doing. But the real challenge was old Snake, and it wasn't necessarily deeper. It was a matter of falling apart as the game went on, that his vocal cords were falling to pieces. And so we had to do that. We recorded all out of order, but I wanted him to steadily be deteriorating. So I'd have to find out like what percentage of the game, how far are we in? So how desiccated do I need to sound? And so I'm very proud of the way it turned out, but that was definitely the biggest challenge. The rest of it was just me with some gravel,
That's how I would define it.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to add anything? Any challenges?
And could you ask the question again?
Just challenges you've had over the various iterations, or voicing the various iterations of the character with Raiden. Just like going from him being a young rookie to more, he's been through some stuff.
He has. No, he has. You're right. And the thing is, fortunately, in all humility, for me, experientially, not difficult, because I have a grand range to be able to do that, take direction and flexibility. But I'm going to tell you a story that I had to unknowingly audition for Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 4. I was sent to a sound stage where there was an American team on one side and a Japanese team on the other. The camera in front of me, I had a script with an unknown character, given bad direction, and I auditioned, and these people stopped and they talked amongst themselves, and then they got on their phones, and it was the weirdest audition I ever had. I got back in my car, and my agent said, do you know you just auditioned for Raiden? I said, wait, what? What are you talking about?
That was news I could have used.
Yeah, that would have helped. Exactly. Snake knows he's my mentor. And so they then did a second audition with Chris properly at LA Studios, and then she said, give him a little more gravel, he's a little beat down, like you said. I said, when we came together to understand he's a world-weary, war-torn cyborg ninja. So no longer is he this rookie, he is, in here, and it hurts. But yeah, I mean, it's acting, it's being, Jen talked about it. You're feeling this experientially, and I would say at the end of the game, when Rose came to Raiden with the child that could be his child, he was perplexed. He thought of himself as, a monster. And even the way the kid reacted as if he was Frankenstein's monster. He was embarrassed, he was unsure, and this is all life stuff. So to answer your question, yeah, I mean, sometimes things come up and they can be of a personal nature, and some of that did speak to me from my own life experience.
My greatest challenge is he just wouldn't die.
No matter how hard she tried.
Dang it. Snake.
Thank you very much.
The challenge of
Thank
not
you
keeping
so
your
much.
English accent.
Well, they took it away from
I know
me.
they did. It's not like you would forget.
Hello, my friend. Right into the mic, name and question.
Hello, my name's Colin. I have a couple questions. One for Quinton and David, and one for Jennifer. Hopefully they're more or less equal. For David and Quinton, are there any projects that, NDAs aside, so on and so forth, any projects that I can look forward to seeing you doing? Or not maybe together, but individually?
Well, I mean, it's just a matter of most things that are coming you can't really talk about, which is not a very satisfying answer.
No.
Yeah, I don't have anything that's been announced. Did we announce Steam Dolls? I don't know. There's a few video games that I've been working on. I've got I've got some TV deals for TV shows, and I've got a movie that hopefully is shooting at Amazon, but I can't reveal what they are yet, so I apologize. It's not very satisfying.
That's understandable. I mean, I did say NDAs aside.
Yeah, but there are many things coming.
He's going to be in boop, and then he's going to be in bloop, and he's going to be in blah, blah, blah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and similarly, a couple of can't says. I can't says. But I will tell you that I just did a wonderful interview with Codec, Clayton Daly, and DJ that you can check out, and that was really fun. I also have some music out there on every platform, a couple singles I released in the last few months called Freeway Dreams and Hey Girl. Gosh, what else? Oh, Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War. That's hot.
That is a long blood war.
It is.
That's a lot of blood.
You don't find that very often.
No, you don't. And the pain.
Maybe in lieu of that, a remark. Of all the voices I mean, Quinton, you're basically my entire childhood. But of all the voices I've heard you do, I'm kind of surprised to hear that Metal Gear Solid 2 Raiden is pretty much closest to your regular voice.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, I've heard you as Axel, I've heard you as, you talked about Sheldon. It's pretty interesting to me, just a remark.
Well, that's because I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be up here, but when I'm more relaxed, my voice might be in here. Because I was speaking to a friend, and she said, wow, your voice has really dropped. And I said, well, it actually hasn't. I'm just more comfortable. But you're right, it is. It's closer to my natural voice. And what I found is when I started out in the voice acting world, I started doing impressions as a child, and impressions of impressions, and impressions of my friends and family. And I started out replacing people like Nathan Lane in, Around the World with Timon and Pumbaa, Hakuna Matata. So I thought my whole life was going to be about doing different voices. I was even Mickey Mouse for a while. True story. But over time, they wanted me to be more me. And that was the hardest role I had to play because I didn't know who I was. But I do now.
All right. And long-awaited Jennifer, you talked a lot about business acumen. I have a few friends in, artistic passions. Would you have any, quick words besides what you've already said, of advice to them?
Yes. Get you some software, whether it's Quicken or something else. Quicken's easy. Or make a spreadsheet in Excel. Download, if you live in the U.S., the IRS Schedule C. There are categories of expenses that you can deduct. Every month, track them. Sit down with your money once a week and get to know it. If you talked about your friends like you talk about money, you would have no friends. So just think about that statement. You have a responsibility to participate in this world and save us from the a-holes. So let's go.
All right, thanks.
Save us from the what?
A-holes.
A-holes. I thought you said the cake
You've met the a-holes.
Yeah.
I give you full permission to swear on my panel.
No, thank you.
Being a Glaswegian.
Fucking A.
It's enough. Yes! That's what I'm talking about.
How many
hello,
children
friend.
do we have?
Name and question, please.
Hi, my name is Dale. Just a question for Jennifer and David. Back when Metal Gear Solid 1 was first released, David's name was the only one that was put on there. That's right. Is there a reason why?
There's not a topic I can discuss, but I'll just say, yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah, but come up to the table. I'll explain it to you.
Exactly. We'll share that with you later.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Thank
and
you.
go fuck yourself.
I think that's fair.
Hello, you look amazing.
Quiet. Amazing.
Yeah.
She's quiet. I'm not telling you to be quiet.
Everyone should.
Okay, what's your name and question?
My name is Ollie, and I have a short, silly question for my friend Val. First one for Mr. David for our Big Boss era. Can you replicate Ocelot's meow?
I wish this had never come up. I think that's fairly close.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're
No,
welcome.
thank you.
It's very sweet.
And then another silly short question for you guys, also from her, is do any of you have a favorite anime?
Cowboy Bebop. The movie. because they got to work on it. Oh, Wolverine and the X-Men too. That one too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I would say growing up as a child, I didn't know it was anime at the time, but it is. Kimba the White Lion, Speed Racer, who I had the opportunity to play in a Geico commercial, which was wonderful. And then in my own experience, Zatch Bell, which a little-known anime series in which I played Dr. Riddles and got to, it was a humorous part, and also Victorine, who's a character in the shape of a giant V who juggles honeydew melons and sings a song about them.
Of course.
You can't get any more bizarre than that.
Yeah.
Well, you could. Throw in a cat.
What about you, David?
My favorite anime, well, growing up, it was G-Force. I was just like, oh my god, I love that show. And then of the things I've done, I mean, Lupin, Castle Cagliostro, I just love that movie. I think that's astounding. And then today, my favorite is My Hero Academia. Watched that much, as my daughter grew up, she loved anime, and so we watched that together. And it's an amazing show. And then she made me watch Attack on Titan. Yeah.
Bizarre.
And then I got a few episodes into it, and I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. This is very upsetting. all the big guys with their faces, and I'm like,
I agree with David. I had to watch it too, and it's disturbing.
It's horrifying. It's horrifying. It's really well done, but I was just like, oh, okay, you can go to hell.
Thank you. And again, you look amazing.
Yeah, you look amazing,
so
Quiet.
Good.
Well
Thank
done.
you so much. Thank you. Now, we've got 8 minutes. I want to get through everyone, so just one question each if possible. Hello, friend. Name, question.
I'm Marcus, and I just want to make a quick remark. You guys were all in Star Wars The Old Republic, which is a game I played a ton of growing up, besides Metal Gear, of course.
Oh.
And I have a question for David. So, when you wrote the screenplay for Watchmen, I understand it's a very complex graphic novel with a lot of interesting and multifaceted characters, and there's a lot to unpack in the graphic novel, and just the medium of what it does in the comic is so hard to adapt to a movie, and the ending as well, which you guys changed. How did you adapt all of that from a comic book to a movie as a writer?
Well, everybody's like, oh, it's impossible to adapt. I'm like, no, Lord of the Rings is impossible to adapt. Like, that will never be done properly. I'm just kidding. Those movies are astounding. But that adaptation blows me away. Watchmen is like a perfect storyboard for a movie as far as I'm concerned. I was like, just take what's in the book. Now, there's things we had to truncate and make shorter or simpler to understand, which is why the ending is different. Also, 9/11 really affected the ending and what studios would allow us to do. But beyond that, I was like, my job is not to make up something better than Alan Moore, because that's not possible. My job is to present Alan Moore's and Dave Gibbons' ideas, visuals, everything they did, and then protect it from the studios for the 9 years it took to get the movie made. So it wasn't a matter of, I mean, when you're adapting a perfect book, that's not that difficult. It's just making sure that all of the powers that be don't fuck it up.
Right.
And that was the real journey. So I appreciate when people are like, oh my God, you adapted something impossible. No, I adapted something perfect, and it was just getting it made that was impossible.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to say this might be the last question, so don't hate me, guys.
If you have any further questions after this, we'll be at our tables. Just come up and ask us whatever.
Right?
All weekend. All damn weekend.
All damn weekend, you guys. So, name and question real fast. Go for it.
No pressure, thanks.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So, for the best question of the evening.
It's actually an easy one for all three of you. Name's Andy. I just want to know, is there any role or part that you either turned down or almost got but didn't that you really regret?
Yes. I
Sure.
can't tell you what it is. No, there was a fantastic game that has gone on to become a huge franchise, and there was a schedule conflict with it. That trip I had promised my kid and my family, and I wasn't going to change it and let him down. And the role went to someone else, and it has done wonderful things for her career, so I will never reveal what the project was.
Is there one you can reveal?
Nope.
What about you guys, Quinton?
Yeah, easy. Well, Saturday Night Live, but in addition to that, no. Spam a lot. I always call back to producers, which is Eric Idle, if you know him from Monty Python. So I was from you to Eric, doing several things, songs and whatnot, and then we had a sit down and a chit chat. And like the way David was explaining the 50-year-old people who grew up on him, that I had the nerves.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I was nervous talking to Eric Idle, and he was wonderful. And so the only reason I didn't get spam a lot is not because of my inability to do a particular accent, but because this gentleman was from an area of Manchester that it was just a more natural fit. And the neat thing was, on the way out, he said to me, and I didn't hear it the first time, "You were excellent, Mr. Flynn." And I go, "Thanks." And he saw that I didn't take it in. And as I was walking out the door, he said, "Mr. Flynn!" I turned around and said, "Yes." He said, "You were excellent." And then I went, "Thank you." And then I did get to work with him later and give him notes on one of his projects. That wasn't excellent. So there you go.
And did you say you were not excellent?
Well, yes, in not so many words. Yes.
I have a couple of things. Well, first of all, it was down to me and two other actors for the lead role, and one of the lead roles in the Doom Generation, which I don't know if you know the Doom Generation, was a Greg Araki film, and I sort of, they threw me for, well, they wanted me to, I had this angry audition about beating up a meter maid, and then they wanted me to do it while I was like seducing Jimmy Duvall. And it kind of threw me off. I mean, he's an attractive person, but I was like, that wasn't what I was prepared to do. And so I sort of fucked up the audition and didn't get it. Jonathan Scheck got the role, and then he was on like the cover of Rolling Stone the next year, and I was like, oh my God, that was my big break, and now I'm gonna die lonely and alone. But then I got X-Men, and I got like my career took a whole different path. So I'm kind of like, well, thank God I didn't, get that. I wouldn't have done X-Men.
Unanswered prayers, baby.
Yeah, but then the ones I nailed my audition for the lead role in School Ties, and I nailed my audition to play the kid in The Quick and the Dead. And the only reason I didn't get them is because they hired better actors than me. So, like Brendan Fraser was very good, and then when I watched The Quick and the Dead, I saw Leo, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's good. So I very much wanted those roles, but I was not of that caliber. So there you go.
That's a great question. Best question. I'm sorry, you guys. We're sorry to miss you guys, but please go visit them over the weekend.
Yes, come see us.
Yes.
Go and see them.
I will be
Thank
gone
you.
tomorrow from 3 to 6. Other than that, I will be here.
Guys, can we have a round of applause for the round of applause? Wow, Claire. Round of applause for the fan questions, please. Thank you very much.
You are excellent.
Yes, well done.
All of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
No.
A round of applause
You
for Claire.
were excellent.
Claire.
Right.
No, you.
That's right.
Thank you. I'd like to say I really enjoyed speaking with all three of you.
No, it was great.
It was really insightful, and some of the words that you were all saying are definitely things I personally loved hearing. So thank you very much. Guys, please give it up for these three. We've got David, Jennifer, and Quinton!
Thank you. Bless you.
This is gonna take Cracker Jack timing, Wang. Total concentration. You ready, Jack? I was born ready. You will come out no more. What? Huh? What'll come out no more? You're out of your mind, Wang. God bless you. It's all in the reflexes.